Syrian forces loyal to President Bashar Al-Assad are making more advances in the rebel-held city of Aleppo. Russian fighter jets are also backing the forces in this operation. As talks between Washington and Moscow appear on the verge of collapse, Syria's army is advancing on two fronts in the north and center of Aleppo in a bid to recapture the city. Recent fighting in Aleppo prompted the UN to warn of a humanitarian catastrophe in Syria. We're joined live now by our correspondent Danielle Pagani from Erbil in Iraq. Remember, Erbil is only 6 kilometers from Mosul, which is the epicenter of IS control. Danielle, thanks so much for joining us. We hope you're safe over there. First up, a number of Indians have been abducted by the IS in that region. Obviously, there are concerns over the safety of expats, locals and correspondents like yourself. Give us an idea of the on-ground situation.
So good afternoon, Aisha. I'm here in Erbil. Just want to point out that Erbil is 60 kilometers from Mosul, not 6. Anyway, so I met personally the Indian community, and they are, of course, worried about what is going on right now. Even though the city of Erbil in the northern part of Iraq, which is called Kurdistan, is safe, is under full control of the Peshmerga army, which is the Kurdish army. There are many journalists right now and many Indian professional and Pakistani professional and Bangladeshi professional working in especially the telecom industry. And for the time being, they are pretty much safe and they feel safe. They know that the border, the northern border from Mosul to Erbil is safe. So there is not too much of being concerned while being here. Of course, 60 kilometers behind my back, exactly there is Mosul, which is the headquarters of ISIS in Iraq. So you cannot really be completely safe.
Right, Daniela, there's also this offensive planned against the IS before the end of this year. What sort of preparations are in place for that offensive? Give us an idea of what exactly you've been hearing on that front.
Well, the situation on the ground regarding the Mosul offensive is really complicated. And again, I have to point out that the date expected for the Mosul offensive is much earlier than the end of the year. It is expected to happen in 15 to 20 days maximum, probably before the presidential elections in the US. So Mosul is the second largest city in Iraq and is the largest city under the Islamic State control. They have been in control of ISIS and its surroundings since 2014. The problem is that the surroundings of Mosul are full of petrol extracting plants. But now, just 1.5 months ago, the Iraqi regular forces reconquered all the southern part of Mosul in the area of Qayyara. And the Iraqi oil ministry just stated a couple of days ago that the Islamic State has no more possession on any oil drilling machine in Iraq, which means they do not have anymore any resource of income for the long term. But this doesn't mean that they are running out of cash, of course. When you conquer a city like Mosul with 2.5 million inhabitants, it means that you become very rich. You get the money on the banks, on the post offices, and all the cash that is on the city. So the inhabitants of Mosul are now 1.5 million because 500,000 already fled. From the southern part of the city, the Iraqi forces is marching towards the city. From the north, the Peshmerga army, the Kurdish army is marching towards the city. And from the east, Shia militias are marching towards the city. So the strategy is to attack the city from 3 fronts. There are problems connected with this because Mosul is a mainly Sunni city, as it is all western Iraq. And the presence of these Shia militias who are we don't know how much they are, but we are speaking about 100,000 army military from the Shia militias are entering the city. And these will not certainly be welcomed by the population, who is maybe more willing to support ISIS terrorists to defend the city, which are also Sunni Muslims. So the situation is very complicated. The risk is that Mosul becomes another Aleppo. So after the attack, the Sunnis, the Shia, and the Kurds will meet within the city, and it is likely that they will start fighting for the control of neighborhoods.
Right, Daniela, you mentioned Aleppo, and it has sort of captured the world's attention. There's a lot of news that has been generated on the Aleppo situation. However, tell us how significant this front, where you are at right now, is in this battle against the Islamic State.
So Mosul is the largest city in Iraq under the Islamic State control. This makes it a very important city for the narrative of being a state, because the Islamic State needs to build capital cities in all the nations where it aims to be. So if you lose Mosul right now, you lose a big symbol, and it is really unlikely that after a year of defeats that they suffered, their soldiers will be happy to suffer another enormous defeat in Mosul. So it is really a strategic point to liberate from ISIS presence. Whatever will happen, it's not going to be easy because, as I told, the Islamic State has everything to lose in losing Mosul. So they will very likely fight till the end. And it is said that they are building tunnels, and in the tunnels they are putting C4 explosives in order to stop the forces when they will enter the city. So it is a crucial point also because Mosul has all the oil extraction refinery close to it and big banks, so getting it back is really strategic. It means cutting the Iraqi head of the Islamic State off right now.
Right, Daniela, you are right now in Erbil. You've given us an idea of the demographics of that area, but really speaking, give us an idea of day-to-day life in the city. You're saying there is a tenuous calm that exists, but what else can you tell us about the on-ground situation where you are exactly right now?
Look, Erbil is a safe place right now. It is the Peshmerga army headquarters. It is the capital city of the Iraqi Kurdistan, and it is fully secure. So there is nothing to fear here. The problem is that the army will leave the city for the offensive of Mosul, and this will leave many of the gates open for eventual terrorist attack, because ISIS, as we know, is not keen always to open battles. Their strategy is to put bombs within the cities, and the many crowded market of the city, which counts more than a million inhabitants, it's a juicy bite for their attacks, unfortunately. So we will see. For the time being, we are safe and the situation is fully under control, but the future is unforeseen.
Right, Daniela, also we were speaking about this possible attack on Mosul. As you're saying, it's planned for the next 10 to 15 days before the US presidential elections. Once the attack does take place, let's say that these forces are able to achieve success against the Islamic State. What are going to be the challenges then for the reconstruction process of the areas in Syria that are currently under IS control?
So the problem, more than connected with infrastructures and the reconstruction, the practical reconstruction of the city, is connected to the social fabric of the area. Iraq is a highly tribal zone where the tribals plays a big role. So the Sunni tribals want to conquer the city, and the Shia militias will also enter the city. So when they will all be within the city walls, the problem is that they have to strike a deal which is binding, because otherwise they will start fighting again. So the big risk is that after Mosul, we will end a war against the Islamic State to start other small mini wars within the city, and the population will always suffer. Just to have an idea, all the organizations active in Erbil, from the UNHCR to smaller NGOs, are ready to welcome more than 500,000 refugees fleeing the city after the battle. They are setting up camps, and we, as WION, will go and visit these camps in the forthcoming days. And so they are prepared to a humanitarian catastrophe, because, as I told, whatever will happen in Mosul won't be neither easy nor quick.
Right, Daniela, thank you so much for joining us with those updates. We ask you to stay safe and take care of yourself while you are there, and we look forward to hearing from you over the next couple of weeks with more stories from the front line. That was our correspondent Danielle Pagani joining us from Erbil in Iraq, just 60 kilometers from the IS stronghold of Mosul.